You know what's absolutely everywhere online? Those annoying cookie pop-ups. You visit literally any website and boom, we value your privacy. Except cookies? You're just trying to read a recipe for chocolate chip cookies and the site is asking you to accept digital cookies. And here's the thing that might shock you. Most people think these pop-ups are about privacy, that websites are being nice and asking permission to track you. But that's completely backwards. Here's what nobody tells you about cookie banners. They're not there to protect you, they're there to protect the website from getting sued. The whole "we value your privacy" thing, that's marketing spin. What's actually happening is way more interesting and way more sneaky than websites being polite. In the next 15 minutes, you're gonna understand exactly why every website suddenly started asking about cookies and why this annoying ritual reveals something surprising about how online privacy actually works. Because once you see what's really happening behind those pop-ups, you'll never click accept all the same way again. Here's what's really happening. Every time you see one of those cookie banners, you're just trying to check if Target has that thing you want in stock. You go to their website, before you can even search, a giant pop-up covers half the screen. We use cookies to enhance your experience. Manage preferences or accept all. You've got like 15 seconds before you get annoyed and just click accept all so you can see the actual website. Picture this scenario. It's Thursday night. You're researching vacation destinations. You visit like 20 different travel websites. Every single one hits you with a cookie pop-up. Some have 2 buttons, some have 5 buttons. Some have a legitimate interest toggle that you don't understand. You click through all of them as fast as possible because you just want to look at beach photos. You're not reading what you're agreeing to. Nobody does. But here's what most people assume when they see these pop-ups. They figure this is about privacy rights. That Europe or California passed some law, and now websites have to ask permission before tracking you. That sounds logical, right? Governments protecting consumers by forcing websites to be transparent about data collection. Everyone tells you these cookie laws are good for privacy, that they give you control over your data, that you can choose whether websites track you or not. But that's not what actually happens. What really happens is you click accept all 99 times out of 100 because the alternative is either losing access to the website or spending 5 minutes adjusting privacy settings you don't understand. And this matters because you think you're making meaningful privacy choices when you see these pop-ups, but you're not. You're performing a ritual that makes everyone feel like privacy is being protected, while the exact same tracking happens as before. It's privacy theater. And the websites know it. The regulators know it. But nobody wants to admit that these cookie banners completely failed at their actual goal. It's not just about annoying pop-ups. It's about understanding that privacy laws often create the illusion of control without giving you real power. You're clicking buttons that feel like choices but don't actually change much about how your data gets used. There's this pattern I've noticed that I call the compliance theater. This is when regulations force companies to perform visible actions that technically follow the law but completely undermine the law's actual purpose. And cookie banners are the perfect example. Here's how it works. The European Union passed a law in 2018 called GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation. The goal was genuinely good. They wanted to stop websites from tracking people without permission. The law said websites have to get informed consent before collecting personal data. Sounds great, right? You should have control over who tracks you online. But here's what's sneaky about this. The law didn't ban tracking. It just required consent. So websites responded by creating these cookie banners that technically ask for consent but are designed to make you click accept all as quickly as possible. Dark patterns everywhere. The accept all button is big and green and obvious. The reject all button is hidden or doesn't exist. The settings page requires 10 clicks through confusing menus. It's like when you go to cancel your cable subscription and they make you call a phone number where you wait on hold for 40 minutes, talking to someone whose job is to convince you not to cancel. Technically, you can cancel. But they've designed the process to be so annoying that many people give up. Same thing with cookie banners. Technically, you can reject tracking, but the website makes accepting so much easier than rejecting that most people just accept. This matters because the law changed website behavior without changing outcomes. Before GDPR, websites tracked you without asking. After GDPR, websites ask for permission in ways designed to get you to say yes. the tracking didn't decrease, the number of pop-ups increased, users got more annoyed, privacy stayed basically the same, but everyone gets to pretend the law worked. Think about Rachel. Rachel's really concerned about her privacy online. She reads articles about data collection and surveillance. When she sees cookie banners, she takes them seriously. She clicks Manage Preferences instead of Accept All. She tries to understand what each type of cookie does. She toggles things off that sound invasive. She spends like 3 minutes on every single website adjusting her privacy settings. But here's what Rachel doesn't realize. Half those settings are meaningless. Websites categorize tracking as essential or legitimate interest in ways that let them track you regardless of what you toggle. Even if Rachel rejects everything she can, the website still collects tons of data through essential cookies that she can't refuse. Her 3 minutes of careful privacy management barely made a difference. Meanwhile, the website successfully got her consent because she engaged with the banner. Your brain actually falls into a similar trap with the illusion of control. When you're given options, you feel like you're making meaningful choices, even if all the options lead to basically the same outcome. It's like asking, would you like to be punched in the left arm or the right arm? Either way, you're getting punched. But asking makes it feel like you have control. But here's where it gets interesting. There's another pattern that makes this even more problematic. I call it the consent fatigue. This is when you're asked to make the same decision so many times that you stop thinking and just click yes to everything. When GDPR launched in 2018, suddenly every website in the world started showing cookie banners to European users. And because the internet is global, American websites started showing them to everyone just to be safe. Now you see these banners on every single site you visit. 20 sites per day, 100 sites per week, thousands of cookie decisions per year. And what happens when you have to make the same decision over and over? You stop thinking about it, you develop a habit, you see the pop-up, you immediately click Accept All without reading anything. It becomes automatic. Like when someone says, "How are you?" and you automatically say, "Good," without thinking. You're not making a real choice anymore. You're just performing the expected action to make the pop-up go away. It's like if someone asked you, "Are you sure you want to open this door?" every single time you entered any room. After the third time, you'd stop thinking about it and just say yes automatically. After the 100th time, you'd be incredibly annoyed. After the 1000th time, you'd wonder why they're even asking when the answer is always yes anyway. This matters because consent only means something when it's informed and deliberate. If you're clicking accept out of habit or frustration without understanding what you're agreeing to, that's not real consent. That's just going through the motions. And websites know this. They're counting on consent fatigue to get you to accept tracking you'd refuse if you thought about it carefully. Here's what makes this even more surprising. Let me tell you about 2 types of cookies that websites love to confuse people about. There are cookies that genuinely help the website work, like cookies that remember you're logged in or what's in your shopping cart. These are actually useful. You want these. Without them, you'd have to log in every time you clicked to a new page. Amazon couldn't remember what you put in your cart. Netflix couldn't remember which episode you're on. But then there are tracking cookies. These follow you around the internet, building a profile of your behavior. What articles you read, what products you look at, what websites you visit, how long you spend on each page. This data gets shared with advertisers and data brokers who use it to target ads and make predictions about you. This is what privacy advocates worry about. This is what GDPR was supposed to give you control over. Here's the sneaky part. Websites lump both types together in those cookie banners. They make it sound like rejecting cookies will break the website. We use cookies to provide essential functionality and enhance your experience. That's technically true, but deliberately misleading. The essential functionality cookies are fine, the tracking cookies are optional. But by combining them in the explanation, websites make you think you need to accept everything for the site to work. Wild, right? It's like if a restaurant said, "We need to collect payment and also your social security number to complete your order." The payment part is true and necessary, The social security number part is completely unnecessary, but they're hoping you won't notice the difference. Now here's the part that's even more complex. There's a third layer to this that almost nobody talks about. I call it the legitimate interest loophole. This is when websites claim they have a legitimate interest in tracking you that doesn't require your consent at all. GDPR has this exception built in. If a company can argue they have a legitimate business reason for processing your data, they can do it without asking. And guess what websites decided? They decided that showing you targeted ads is a legitimate business interest, that analyzing your behavior to improve their service is legitimate interest, that sharing your data with partners is legitimate interest. Basically, everything they want to do falls under legitimate interest, according to them. So even if you dig into the privacy settings and toggle off all the optional cookies, many websites are still tracking you under legitimate interest. And technically, this is legal. The law allows for it, but it completely undermines the whole point of requiring consent. The websites found a loophole and drove a truck through it. It's like if your roommate said, "I'll ask permission before eating your food," and then decided they have a legitimate interest in eating anything in the fridge because they're hungry and cooking new. Food would be inconvenient. Technically, they have an interest, but that doesn't mean you'd agree their interest outweighs your right to control your own food. This matters because when you carefully adjust cookie settings thinking you're protecting your privacy, you're often just controlling a small subset of the tracking. The rest continues under legitimate interest or through first-party cookies that don't require consent. You feel like you made a privacy choice. But the actual impact is minimal. But here's what nobody wants to admit about this entire system. The real issue isn't cookies. It's that we built an internet economy that depends on surveillance. And asking permission through annoying pop-ups doesn't change that fundamental fact. What's actually happening is websites need to make money. For most free websites, that money comes from advertising. And advertisers pay more for targeted ads based on user data. So websites are economically incentivized to collect as much data as possible. The cookie banners don't change this equation. They just add a permission step that everyone involved knows is mostly theater. And once you see this, you can't unsee it. Cookie banners aren't privacy protection, they're liability protection. Websites aren't trying to protect your privacy, they're trying to protect themselves from fines by getting your technical consent. The whole system is designed to create the appearance of choice while ensuring the outcome stays the same. Websites track you, advertisers buy your data, and you get targeted ads. Let me tell you about two different people and how they handle cookie banners. There's Mike. Mike is concerned about privacy, in theory. When he sees a cookie banner, he clicks accept all immediately because he just wants to read the article he came for. He tells himself he'll be more careful next time. But next time, he does the same thing. And the time after that, Mike has clicked accept all thousands of times. He's been tracked by hundreds of websites. He gets creepily targeted ads all the time. Here's what Mike doesn't realize. He thinks clicking accept all is a one-time thing per website. But cookies expire. Websites update their policies, so he's actually reconsenting to the same tracking over and over. Plus, his accept all clicks from different websites build a massive profile of his interests and behavior that gets shared across advertising networks. Mike feels like he's making small individual choices, but collectively, those choices have given advertisers an incredibly detailed picture of who he is. Mike sometimes gets creeped out when an ad follows him around the internet for weeks after he looked at something once, but he doesn't connect that experience to all those accept all clicks. He thinks targeted advertising just happens automatically. He doesn't realize he technically consented to it hundreds of times. Now, compare that to Elena. Elena understands how the cookie system actually works. She knows most websites will track her regardless of what she clicks. So instead of spending time adjusting settings that barely matter, she uses a browser extension that automatically blocks third-party tracking cookies. She clears her cookies regularly. She uses incognito mode for searches she doesn't want saved. She doesn't bother carefully reading cookie banners because she knows they're mostly theater. Elena still clicks accept all on most websites. But she's taken actual technical steps to limit tracking at the browser level. She understands the cookie banners are performative, so she ignores them and addresses privacy through tools that actually work. She gets fewer creepy targeted ads than Mike, even though she spends less time on cookie settings, because Elena addresses the root technical issue instead of engaging with the theater. Notice how Mike feels like he's making careful choices but actually gave away tons of data, while Elena treats the banners as meaningless and took real technical steps that actually protect privacy. That's because Mike confused the illusion of control with actual control. Here's what most people don't realize about cookie banners and online privacy. It's not actually about making informed choices through pop-ups. Those pop-ups exist to satisfy legal requirements while changing as little as possible about how tracking actually works. The websites that show the most aggressive cookie banners aren't necessarily being more respectful of privacy, they're just being more careful about legal compliance. And once you see it this way, everything changes about how you think about online privacy. Real privacy protection doesn't come from clicking the right combination of buttons on cookie banners. It comes from browser settings, extensions, and technical tools that actually block tracking at the code level. The people who protect their privacy best aren't the ones who carefully read every cookie banner. They're the ones who understand those banners are theater and address privacy through actual technical measures. So here's what we've uncovered. Cookie banners exist because of regulations meant to protect privacy, but websites responded by creating compliance theater that technically follows the law while ensuring tracking continues basically unchanged. Plus, consent fatigue means you click accept all automatically without thinking after seeing hundreds of these banners, and the legitimate interest loophole lets websites track you even when you try to opt out. But beneath all of that is a deeper truth. The internet economy runs on surveillance advertising. Cookie banners don't challenge that business model. They just add a permission step that websites designed to be as frictionless as possible. The tracking was going to happen either way. The banners just shift liability from the website to you by getting your consent. And remember how we talked about Mike carefully adjusting settings that didn't actually matter while Elena used technical tools that actually work? That matters because engaging with cookie banners makes you feel like you're protecting privacy without actually protecting privacy. It's the illusion of control that stops you from taking real technical steps that would make a difference. The question isn't whether you should click accept all or adjust your settings. The question is whether you'll recognize that cookie banners are performance art designed to create the appearance of privacy protection while changing as little as possible. Because now you know those pop-ups aren't there to help you. They're there to protect websites from lawsuits while maintaining their surveillance business model. You can't unknow this now. Every time you see a cookie banner, you'll realize it's compliance theater. Every time you click accept all out of frustration, you'll know that's exactly the response the website designed the pop-up to trigger. Every time someone tells you to read the privacy policy carefully, you'll understand that even careful reading doesn't change the fundamental equation. Websites will track you, and the banner just shifts the legal responsibility to you for consenting. So next time a website interrupts you with, "We value your privacy," ask yourself, do they really value my privacy, or do they value legal compliance that lets them keep tracking me? Because once you see that those banners are about protecting the website rather than protecting you, everything about online privacy looks completely different.